What if the biggest country legends in America aren't living like stars at all? Behind the sold-out stadiums and million-dollar tours, there are massive hidden ranches filled with rescue animals nobody else wanted anymore. But the craziest part? For some of these stars, those farms were never about luxury. They were built from grief, loneliness, family memories, and the strange healing power animals seem to have on people. And once you see what's really happening inside these ranches, you may never look at country music legends the same way again. Let's kick off the story with Bryan, one of the biggest country stars in America, known for his absolute brightest smile and arguably one of the largest fan bases in the country. To understand the exact reason why Bryan ended up building a giant farm, we have to rewind the clock back to 2017. That year, his family went through an incredibly painful loss. Their sweet little niece, Brett Boyer, passed away when she was barely 7 months old. Ellen Boyer, the little girl's mother, once shared about her daughter's illness.
She had congenital heart disease, and she also had Down syndrome. And when she was 7 months old, we lost her to her heart defect.
Brett's passing left a heavy, quiet void hanging over the entire family. A few weeks after the funeral, Luke's wife, Caroline, decided to bring home a little white pony and named him Kilo. From the outside at that time, this decision seemed like a classic trauma response. Outsiders figured this was just Caroline's way of throwing money around to temporarily numb the sadness. But in reality, it was an incredibly endearing story between Caroline and her niece. "My only way of coping was remembering I had promised her a white pony when she was a month old," Caroline said. "I decided to keep that promise. A friend of mine found one at a rescue shelter, and I said I wanted it." From adopting a single pony, Luke and Caroline set aside a portion of their property outside of Nashville, Redbird Farm, and they officially named the entire area Brett's Barn, as a beautiful way to keep their little niece continually present in their lives. Very quickly after that, Kilo the pony started welcoming other animal friends. The number of animals popping up on their land skyrocketed at a dizzying pace. They brought in pigs, alpacas with extremely thick coats, baby goats, chickens, and especially a whole lot of abandoned animals, or those with absolutely nowhere else to go. The Bryan family was quietly setting up an entire ecosystem dedicated strictly to animals in need of special care. And it is totally obvious that for the Bryan family, these animals were absolutely not just decorative pets, nor were they meant to be commercialized. Why? Because not everyone can visit the farm. Tons of die-hard fans have been ready to drop massive amounts of money just to get a tour of their idol's farm. However, the truth is that Brett's Barn is completely closed to the general public and does not sell tour tickets whatsoever. Caroline and Ellen once cleared about their decision.
We do try to accommodate as many families and children as possible, but since Brett's Barn is on private property, it can be difficult. There is a certain process.
The process has to be kind of special because we have to make sure that it's safe for the animals and, of course, safe for the kids and families that come out here.
They seemingly had zero interest in turning this farm into some giant money-making tourist attraction. In fact, they went in the complete opposite direction, working with local hospitals and Down syndrome advocacy groups to share the love and joy they experience at the barn. Luke and his wife began organizing special visits, inviting children with Down syndrome from organizations like Gigi's Playhouse, the Down Syndrome Association of Middle Tennessee, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and families affected by CHD to come and play at the farm. And when the kids arrived at the barn, something almost magical started happening. Some of the kids were naturally shy. Some struggled with communication. Others barely spoke at all throughout the day. But then they would stand in front of the alpacas with their unbelievably soft fur. And suddenly, everything changed. They started to smile, gently reaching out to pet them. Some kids even wrap their arms around a pony that is just calmly chewing grass, like they have been best friends for ages. And honestly, there is a real scientific reason behind this. In case you did not know, there is a type of treatment called animal therapy. Interacting with animals has been proven to reduce stress and anxiety. Especially for children, animals can improve emotional self-regulation and reduce resistance to therapy. And it looks like the alpacas and ponies at Brett's barn have offered unconditional acceptance, which helps the kids feel way less isolated and completely socially supported. We can clearly see that, at first, Luke and Caroline really just wanted to create something to keep their niece's memory alive. But as time went on, this barn, with its ever-growing crowd of animals, accidentally delivered a far greater value than they ever imagined. This place actually started becoming a true safe space for kids with special needs. Brett's barn is no longer just helping one single family heal after a massive loss. It is helping so many other children feel deeply connected, incredibly welcomed, and giving them a place where they can simply just be kids. And from this, the Bryan family eventually decided to create the Brett Boyer Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to funding medical research for Down syndrome and congenital heart disease, while also providing financial support for families whose children are battling those conditions. Luke Bryan had explained on Outkick how they built fundraising activities around the farm experience itself.
We want people to come outside and do something other than, nothing against golf tournaments, but everybody does charity golf tournaments. We wanted to bring people out. We've got a bass lake, we've got trout fishing, we've got bull riding. We're on the putting green. I have people that come in from all places that have never even been on a farm.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're down feeding goats and getting a better understanding of kind of farm life and stuff like that. So we've been able to really educate people on coming to the farm and obviously CHD.
And through the Brett Boyer Foundation, the kindness of the community became far more than just checks written on paper. It has actually saved lives. This exact fund has stepped in just in time to cover emergency heart surgeries, where every second mattered and time was running out by the minute.
I can't remember the kid's name, but he was about 18 years old. Yeah, he had a transplant.
Yeah.
And he was linked to he was linked to the Brett Boyer Foundation, and he turned around and it's like, thanked Caroline and I, and he showed us his scar, and Lord, we're crying in the candy shop in Rosemary Beach.
In many ways, little Brett Boyer has now become a guardian angel for so many other lives in situations similar to her own. Luke Bryan built his farm out of grief and heartbreak, then slowly transformed it into a place that helps other people heal. But for country legend Willie Nelson, the story began from something completely different: his pure love for animals. Next up, let us head on down to Texas, a place that is dustier, hotter, and much windier, and somehow perfectly fitting for the far grittier story we are about to dive into. That is the story of music legend Willie Nelson. Even now, well into his 90s, he still owns and maintains a massive herd of over 70 horses at his sprawling 700-acre luck ranch in the state of Texas. Horses in Texas. You are probably picturing those huge, majestic horses galloping at full speed in some Wild West cowboy movie. However, Willie's herd actually has a pretty heartbreaking story behind it. In the horse industry, when racehorses are past their prime, or when plow horses get leg injuries and absolutely cannot work anymore, their owners will usually just sell them straight to the slaughterhouses. As Willie himself once shared,
"My horses are probably the luckiest horses in the world. They get hand-fed twice a day, and they were just ready to go to the slaughter, the last thing they remembered. So they're happy horses."
From places called kill pens, the final transfer stations right before the horses are sent straight to the slaughterhouse, Willie bought back these poor horses, loaded them up onto massive trucks, and hauled them straight back to Luck Ranch to start a brand new life. The name of this ranch also carries Willie Nelson's signature sense of humor. As he once explained, "When you are here, you are in luck, and when you are not, you are out of luck." And honestly, for these horses, that sentence could not be more accurate. However, caring for 70 old horses, carrying a bunch of illnesses and injuries, requires a truly gigantic cost, from providing food and water to regular vet checkups and even fixing up their barns. And yet, it is obvious that Willie Nelson takes this responsibility seriously. He is fully committed to creating the best possible environment for these animals, a place where these unlucky creatures can finally run freely again and live out the rest of their lives naturally and peacefully. His deep connection with these horses even inspired him to write the track "Ride Me Back Home," the exact song that got him the Best Country Solo Performance Award at the Grammys in 2020. It seems like at Luck Ranch, art and pure compassion have completely blended together. And despite his age, declining health, and even having to cancel multiple tours over the years because of health issues, Willie's daily routine at the ranch has barely changed. He still regularly drives himself around the family's 700-acre property. He stops at different horse areas carrying buckets of feed, then feeds them one by one himself. Looking back at the entire decades-long music career of Willie Nelson, the outlaw country legend, from the way he dresses to the way he sings, to the way he lives, outlaw country has never been just a music genre to him. But perhaps the greatest and most rebellious thing this man ever did was standing up against an entire brutal industry system that is willing to eliminate living creatures the moment they stop generating money for them. Aside from Nelson, also down in Texas, there is another massive country music star who owns a ranch with some seriously exciting activities, packed with that authentic cowboy vibe. That is the ranch of George Strait, a place his family built strictly for their absolute favorite sport, rodeo. George Strait's ranch sits deep out in the brush country near the town of Encinal. On this exact ranch, George raises both cattle and roping horses. And we have got to talk about the Corriente cattle, a breed with a highly compact build, extremely agile movements, and a seriously wide set of horns. They are specifically raised for one purpose, running fast enough for the sport of team roping. George once talked about his love for riding and roping during an interview.
You obviously love horses and love to ride. How much time do you actually get to spend in the saddle these days?
Well, as much time as we want, really. You know, especially when we're off, when we're not doing other things, we come out and we rope. And whenever we ride, we usually rope. We just don't get on and just go, you know, walk around and stuff. So, you know, we pin the steers and go over here and rope. And when I haven't rode or roped in a while, or ridden and roped in a while, I miss it. And when I get back on, I really enjoy it.
And this connection to horses, ranch life, and team roping did not appear out of nowhere. It was passed down through generations of George Strait's family.
My dad is a rancher, and growing up, he taught school and ranched. And when his dad, my grandfather, passed away, then he started, you know, taking care of the ranch and taking my brother and I along with him, helping. So that's pretty much the way we spent our summers and a lot of weekends too growing up.
You can clearly tell that throughout his entire childhood, George spent a massive amount of time at his family's ranch, and from there it slowly but surely shaped his entire lifestyle, and eventually his later music career. And because of that, his passion for team roping seems to run far deeper than just a casual hobby. In fact, George Strait poured out his own money to host his very own independent tournament called the George Strait Team Roping Classic for 34 years, before it officially ended in 2017. The event attracted a massive lineup of professional players from all over the country to compete. Aside from participating in team roping and hosting tournaments, George also personally takes care of and trains the animals on the ranch himself. But perhaps the most meaningful part of all this is that team roping did not stay only as George Strait's personal passion. His son, Bubba, fell in love with it too. George once proudly said that his greatest personal accomplishment in roping was winning with my son, Bubba. Fortunately, he shares this passion. It's the greatest feeling in the world to watch my son win a roping, or even to just watch him compete. I'm sure I'm way more nervous than he is when I'm just watching. Bubba and I have been fortunate to win a couple of buckles together, and that, my friends, is the ultimate. Maybe that genuine love for cowboy life is exactly why, throughout his entire career, George Strait's music has always managed to keep the rustic, authentic vibe of the country genre. He never had to dress up and pretend to be a cowboy for a music video because he was simply bringing his real everyday life, the sweat, dust, horses, and ranch work, straight onto the stage. But not every country music legend chose to tie themselves to the classic Texas cowboy image the way George Strait did. For Blake Shelton, the ranch brings a much more free-spirited and daily vibe. Leaving the dry lands of Texas and heading toward the state of Oklahoma, this is where male singer Blake Shelton owns the massive 10-point ranch, spanning up to 1,300 acres. The name 10-point comes from deer hunting terminology. A 10-point buck refers to a deer with 10 antler points, basically the kind of animal hunters dream about spotting deep in the woods. If you showed up at 10-Point Ranch on an ordinary day, chances are you would probably find Shelton driving massive Kubota tractors himself.
This part of Oklahoma is don't plant anything till after April 10th, I think. I don't give a crap. You see, you got the old man back there behind me. Got the new guy. Ho, 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 ho. Seeds going in the ground today, people. Woo!
He does not hire workers, but operates the machinery himself to level out rough patches of dirt and plows the soil to plant cornfields and grasses across an incredibly massive area. For the past decade, television audiences have been all too familiar with the image of a polished Blake Shelton, wearing slick suits, sitting in the powerful red chair on the show The Voice. However, in reality, this is his actual look on a daily basis at the ranch. The purpose behind all of this hard, exhausting labor, dropping the whole celebrity image entirely, is extremely simple. It is to create an ideal environment for wild animals. And this comes directly from a childhood hobby of Shelton's. I've just always have been fascinated by animals, and not just any animals, but native wildlife. It's fascinating to me. Because of his passion for hunting, fishing, and wild animals, his ranch always maintains food plots and steady water sources. Plus, the open space design with the neighboring woods, having very few separating fences, also creates the perfect conditions for animals like deer, turkeys, and wild hogs to find their way there. Clearly, planning out crops, maintaining and controlling an entire ecosystem is a much more complex, expensive, and exhausting job compared to simply building a barn and pouring food into it every single day. From the outside, this choice shows that Blake Shelton has absolutely no desire to own animals. He does not want to control their freedom. His real goal is to create a truly natural, wild animal kingdom, where he simply plays the role of a quiet observer. And when we step back and look at the stories of all four of these country music legends together, one very clear pattern starts to emerge. Every single one of them spends a great deal of money to maintain the lives of massive herds of animals on their ranches. And for these animals, the absolute only thing they care about and acknowledge is who brings them clean water and food, and who cleans up the barns for them to sleep in. Perhaps after all the awards, the sold, out tours, or the stage lights, the thing that keeps these country music legends grounded to their true selves is actually these creatures that could not care less how famous they are. Because in the end, do we humans truly need more fame to feel fulfilled? Or have we all been searching for something much simpler this entire time? The feeling that somewhere or to someone, we are genuinely needed.